I've been here for, almost 20 years now. I've dealt with a lot of incidents. This is the most difficult.
We went through bird flu training. We went through Ebola training. We went through other situations that never existed. We were aware that this might happen. We just did not know the severity of it happening. To this day, there's still people trying to find funeral homes.
It's not normal closure, and that becomes very difficult for the families.
People think cemetery workers may be immune to seeing death on a regular basis, but watching our staff respond to this shows me that no, we are not immune. It's just been incredibly sad.
It's been another painful weekend in the coronavirus pandemic.
The curve continues to go up, highest single increase in the number of deaths.
752 in the past day, the 8th day above 700, a devastating level.
I've been a medical examiner here in New York City for 22 years. Our job generally is to support families. In 9/11, it was to support families by providing identification. In this pandemic, our job is to increase our capacity so that we have a place to care for decedents, for loved ones, with respect and dignity until families are able to make their final arrangements. Families may not be able to afford a funeral right now because they lost their job, or they're themselves ill, or there's just a capacity issue with the funeral directors. We have alleviated that additional burden at the worst time of their lives so that they can have their loved one put to rest in the manner that they wish.
This is a very complicated, very difficult response, the COVID response. We put reefer trucks early on at every hospital, over 130 trucks out at the 55 medical facilities. This disaster portable morgue unit is primarily in place to intake residential cases that are coming from homes, people that are dying at home.
The National Guard have worked very closely with us to retrieve decedents from their homes. At the peak of the deaths in the city, we had 300% more people working than usual.
When we go into disaster mode, for the most part, everybody goes on 12-hour tours. And one of the lessons learned from 9/11 and from other responses is to be able to keep our people well. We force them to take at least one day off a week.
So we have an off day for like a mental health day, just to decompress and just feel regular. I try not to take what I see back home with me. I say that smell kind of sticks with you. It's something you will never forget.
I did 60 funerals in April. At a certain point, we were at maximum capacity, all at the same time. The Thursday when COVID hit New York City bad, we had to take the phone off the hook because it was just unmanageable to answer the phone. Worst thing I've ever done in my life as a person and a funeral director was to tell a family I couldn't help them. And there were days I was telling 30 to 35 families, I can't help you. Families are limited to immediate family. And in the Italian community, in the Latin community, immediate family could be 200 people, and I'm not being facetious. And when you say immediate family, they're like, yeah, well, we're all coming. It's like, no, unfortunately, CDC guidelines say 10.
The week of March 23rd, we went from getting 11 to 12 calls a day to close to 40 calls a day for the crematory. While we're in Westchester County, there's only 5 crematories downstate, 4 in the city, and us up here. In the crematory, we went from doing 11 a day to 25 a day. And that's maximum capacity, somebody working 16 hours. I mean, we've taken the pews out of our chapel, and we've used that for a temporary storage unit. Everybody is in the same position. Funeral homes have a limited number of people that they can have in the funeral home. Families have a hard time getting to the location. I know that when my father passed away, my sister had to fly up from Georgia. I needed a sister to come down from Albany. But we knew that the period of time for my father to be buried was short, and we had to do it all in 3 days. Cremation expands that to an infinite period of time. Our industry is usually not in the spotlight, and all of a sudden we've gotten into the spotlight, and people are realizing that we are an essential service. And that's one of the things that we fought from the start, that we needed to perform this. This is something that families need.
COVID victim burials get special attention. Staff all wear hazmat suits, masks, of course, social distancing at in-ground burials. I have the greatest admiration for my staff and what they've been doing. Watching them do their job with courage and grace has really been amazing. There's a lot of heroes in this. Not being able to hug someone at a burial or to touch someone in the casket and say goodbye, it's got to be tough. I don't know, there's going to be a lot of, besides the mental anguish, the physical and mental anguish is going to be tremendous when this is all over.
This is real to everyone here. We have people that work here who have lost people, and it's, it's personal.
What I've found is that families cannot live with uncertainty. They can handle the truth. And that's what we train all our medical examiners to tell the families the truth in the most professional and compassionate way possible. And families can deal with that, and they're so appreciative of having straight answers.
We're behind the scenes. No one ever is excited coming to a funeral home. No one is ever excited doing business with a funeral home. It's just a fact of life. It's a fact of society that we have these rituals, we have these wakes and services. We've been thrust into the limelight because of the amount of deaths, the curveballs that we've been hit with, the shortages that we've been hit with. We want to go back to being behind the scenes. I was in the body disposal business. I was not a funeral director. Now that we're getting used to the caseload and the caseload is starting to diminish, we're going back to being funeral directors. And that's the most welcome thing in the world.